Okay, so this video is going to be about a tool called Hummingbird for Twitter that a lot of people have asked me about. So I'm just going to do a quick run through and show you 3 things that are really cool about it, and then 3 things that kind of suck about it, and then you can make a decision on whether it's going to be useful for you or not. The first thing we're going to talk about is using this tool for mass following. So what we're going to do is just open up Hummingbird here, and it's going to bring you to your Twitter account, which you log into, which I've already done. And what we're going to do is just find somebody who's relevant to your market. So my market is the pet market. So one guy who's on Twitter who is relevant is Cesar Millan, who's also known as the Dog Whisperer. Now, the point of this video isn't to talk about Twitter strategy. Mass following, I have some strong opinions on it. In some cases, I think it's good. In a lot of cases, I think it's stupid. But no matter what you want to use it for, Hummingbird will be able to do it for you. So all we're doing is navigate into Cesar Millan's Twitter page, and we're going to look at the people that are following him. So because I'm in the pet market and he's a world famous dog trainer, there's a pretty good chance that people following him are interested in the same things I am. So one thing you can't see, it's cut off your screen, there's a button down here that says follow all. So I'm just going to press it and you can see what happens. Okay, so you see, if you look at the top of the screen, it's just going down the list and following everybody. So the reason this is useful is if you spend any time doing this yourself, you know it's extremely boring. It's not too fun to just click, 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 next. It sucks. Now, it is something you can outsource, but that's sort of a pain too, because A, you're paying by the hours. Over time, it's going to be cheaper just to have a piece of software that does it for you. But more importantly, you're still going to have to, if you're doing it, outsourcing it overseas, you're still going to have to come up with a list of people that you want your people to follow their followers, and that's another task you don't even want to bother doing. Again, it's just a waste of time. So if you're watching the screen right now, you can just see it's flying through all these people and following them. So I'm going to stop it right now. I don't need to follow his entire list, but you get the idea. So basically you pick somebody who is relevant to your market, and Hummingbird will just start following their followers. No need for outsourcing it. It just does the job for you. So it's really, really helpful and time saving for that. Okay, so let's talk about mass unfollowing now. Previously, what I was using was Twitter Karma, which if you've been using Twitter, you're probably familiar with it. Basically what it does is it loads up all of your Twitter people that you're following or they're following you, and you just select it to show people that you're only following back. And if you follow people and you give it a week or so and they're still not following you back, you need to unfollow them, because Twitter has all these caps. For example, you can only follow about 10% more than the number that's following you back. So if you don't clear this out once or twice a week, you're really going to hit a wall as to how fast you can keep growing your Twitter base. So Twitter Karma, I mean, it's okay. It's fine when you're in the low hundreds or so in terms of number of followers, but it sucks for a couple of reasons. First is because of the way that Twitter APIs work, you're only going to be able to do about 75 or 80 at a time. So if you need to mass unfollow, say 300, 400 people, you're going to have to run this 3 or 4 times, and it's a total waste of time. You don't want to bother doing that. The other thing that sucks about it is, you can. One thing you don't want to get into is unfollowing somebody and then following them back and then unfollowing them. That's how you get reported as a spammer. So Twitter or Hummingbird has a pretty cool feature to make sure that that doesn't happen. So let's just see we'll just run through a mass unfollow. I haven't done one in about a week. All you do is you go to your own Twitter page and you click over to your followers. All right, now you're not going to be able to see this, but on the bottom right of the screen, it's cut off here. There's a button that says, I hit the wrong thing. Actually, I want to go to people that I'm following. But there's a button down here that says unfollow all. So the little protection feature I just mentioned a second ago is if I already have unfollowed somebody, when I'm doing a mass follow, it's going to tell me I can't follow them, which is good because you won't get into that spam cycle. Now, if you notice a couple of these color things here, the blue that's Oprah. She's a protected follower. I'll explain what that is in a second. Green means it's a mutual follower. Anything that's in white, these are people that are not following back. So I'm just going to click this unfollow all button at the bottom of the screen and just let it start running, and you'll see it go. So I'm no longer following Britney Spears, no longer following Rocky the dog, etc., etc. And it's just going to run through all the way. Now the reason this works and Twitter Karma doesn't is because we're not using any API tools here. So Twitter Karma hits that cap all the time and it starts hanging and just stops working for you. But we're directly logged into Twitter. We're not using their API. So it's just going to keep going and scan through all my pages of followers, or no, people that I'm following, and just keep unfollowing all the ones that are not following me back or who are not protected. So I'm going to pause the video and let this run because this does take a couple minutes, and then I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I paused it for a couple minutes and it's still running through. I'll go back and finish this up for myself later, but I'm just going to stop it. Just click the stop button, and it's going to take me back to the home page. So it looks like in those couple minutes it knocked off, I don't know, I forgot to write the number down, but I think a little bit over 200 people that weren't following me back. So this is a great way to clean out your list so that you can start following more people again. Much better than Twitter Karma. I'm about to show you the protected VIP section, but the other thing I didn't mention is I don't have 10,000 followers because I'm really not that aggressive with Twitter. But if you do, you probably know that Twitter Karma is not going to work anyway, because when you have that many followers, the Twitter API just isn't going to want to handle that. So Twitter Karma will gum up and just not even come close to working. So that is how you do a mass unfollow with Hummingbird. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the function in Hummingbird called protected VIPs. Now, one thing that's when you get into mass unfollowing people, one of the hardest things to do is to not accidentally unfollow people that you want to pay attention to who aren't following you back. So for example, you might have a couple top people in your market that you want to pay attention to. Maybe there's some celebrities that you want to follow and see what they're up to. And chances are that most of them usually won't be following you back. So if you're using Twitter Karma, you know, you can set the filter to show it people that you're following who aren't following you back, and this is typically what you would mass unfollow. But if there's, say, 10 or 12 people that you don't want to unfollow, I mean, it really sucks to have to go through all of these and, you know, eyeball them and, you know, like Joe Rogan here, I like to follow. But I don't want to have to search them out and click them every time before I do a mass unfollow. It really, really is a huge pain. So Hummingbird has this thing, if you go to Tools and then Hummingbird VIPs, it's really easy. You just put in the username, click look up, and then boom. So I got a couple people in here. So let's say, for example, we wanted to, you know, let's say Ashton Kutcher or whatever. I don't know his username, but let's say that's what it is. Boom, he's done. So we won't accidentally unfollow him when you're doing a mass unfollow. So it's pretty cool, pretty useful. Yeah, so thumbs up on this. Okay, so those are the three really cool things about Hummingbird. So if you were going to get it, those would be the reasons why. But you should also know about three things that make it not 100% ideal. First thing probably won't appeal to the majority of you. However, if you're a Mac user like I am, there is no Mac version of Hummingbird. Now I'm using it on a Mac. That's where I recorded the video. But I have to open up Parallels and run it that way. Word on the street is they're working on a Mac version, but who knows if that's true or not. So as of right now, if you have Parallels or whatever the other one's called, firmware or something, it'll run, but you have to keep that open. The second thing is, and hopefully this will be a feature they add at some point, but if you're familiar with hashtags, a lot of times when there's a hot topic, people will use that in their tweets, and it's a great way to get a list of people that are actively talking about something that might be relevant to your market. It would be really cool if you could pop a hashtag into Hummingbird and just have it start following people that are talking about that. But as of right now, you can't do that. I don't know of any other Twitter tools that do. I'm sure there is one though. And number three is you're never going to use Hummingbird as your main Twitter client. It's if you notice this in the video, it's kind of clunky and a little bit slow because it has to scan all the information on the page if it's going to do any of the follow or unfollow actions. So, you know, you would never post your tweets while you're logged into Hummingbird. You would keep a separate browser open to do that. So those are the three only cons that I've noticed so far. Obviously, it's not a deal breaker for me because I do use the tool. So just something to consider when you're trying to decide if you want to purchase this or not.